We often review how cycling can help with climate change, but do we ever consider the effect climate change has on cycling? As a 78-year-old cyclist, I too spend too much time thinking about exercise and health, but I often don't consider the effect of our climate change on the sport I love. If this video helps you understand this concern, give me a thumbs up or comment. Now here's what I have found about this concern. Climate change can have a significant impact on cycling in several ways. Here are a few examples. Temperature and weather conditions. As global temperatures rise, the weather patterns that cyclists are used to may change, with increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather conditions such as heat waves, storms, and flooding. This can make cycling more dangerous and uncomfortable, and may also affect the availability of bike trails and paths. Air pollution. Climate change can lead to increased air pollution, which can affect the respiratory health of cyclists. In addition, high levels of air pollution can make cycling in certain areas hazardous or unpleasant, leading to respiratory problems and increased risk of respiratory infections. Water availability. Climate change can cause changes in precipitation patterns, which can lead to droughts and water scarcity in some areas. This can affect the availability of water for cyclists, making it difficult to stay hydrated during long rides. Natural disasters. Climate change can increase the frequency and intensity of natural disasters such as floods, landslides, and wildfires. These can cause damage to cycling infrastructure such as bike paths and trails, and can also make it more dangerous to cycle in affected areas. Biodiversity. Climate change can cause changes in plant and animal populations, which can have an impact on the cycling experience. For example, changes in the flowering and fruiting cycles of plants can affect the availability of food for cyclists, and changes in animal populations can affect the safety of cycling routes. Overall, climate change can have a significant impact on cycling, and it is important for cyclists to be aware of these changes and take appropriate measures to adapt to them. Extreme heat. As the planet warms up, we may experience more frequent and prolonged heat waves. This can make it difficult for cyclists to ride safely and comfortably, especially during the hottest parts of the day. In extreme cases, exposure to high temperatures can lead to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and other heat-related illnesses. Extreme cold. On the other hand, climate change can also bring extremely cold temperatures, which can make it difficult for cyclists to ride safely and comfortably, particularly in areas that are not used to such temperatures. Icy roads and snow-covered bike paths can also make cycling hazardous, increasing the risk of accidents. Changes in landscape. Climate change can cause changes in the landscape, such as erosion, landslides, and sea level rise, which can alter the cycling routes and affect their difficulty level. For example, coastal cycling routes may be threatened by sea level rise, and mountain biking trails may be affected by landslides and erosion. Changes in wildlife. Climate change can also affect the behavior and distribution of wildlife, which can make cycling in certain areas more dangerous. For example, as temperatures rise, snakes and other wildlife may be more active during the day, increasing the risk of encounters with cyclists. Adaptation. Finally, cycling can also play a role in helping us adapt to climate change. For example, using bicycles for transportation instead of cars can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, helping to mitigate the impacts of climate change. Cycling can also help us stay physically fit and healthy, which can improve our resilience to the impacts of climate change. Overall, while climate change can have a negative impact on cycling, it is important to recognize the role that cycling can play in both mitigating and adapting to climate change. By being aware of the potential impacts of climate change on cycling, we can take steps to adapt and minimize our carbon footprint.